Hello and welcome to a very special episode of KBTalks. I'm your host, Carl Champley. Worlds collided last month in Denver as the NKBA joined the action at CEDIA Expo. For those of you who don't know, CEDIA Expo is a trade-only event bringing together companies and professionals to make smart homes genius. Everything from home theaters, smart speakers, lighting controls, whole home security. These are the folks who make the high-tech elements of a space work together seamlessly. It's no secret that kitchen and bath design is getting connected, and the relationship between designer and integrator is more important than ever. NKBA member and interior designer Molly Switzer was invited to a meeting of the minds, a mashup recording of KBTalks, the CEDIA podcast with Ed Wenk and Walt Zerbe and Katie McGregor Bennett's podcast, Connecting Tech and Design and AV Trade Talk. This group, along with a couple of very special guests, tackle the topics of tech and wellness and the business of smart home tech. All that and more right after a word from our episode sponsor, Samsung Appliances.
At Samsung, we aren't just predicting the future, we're creating it. Inspired by chefs, the Samsung Chef Collection is built on three core pillars: design, technology, and performance. The recipient of 4 2018 CES Innovation Honoree Awards, the Chef Collection features performance, precision, and design that is recognized across the globe. The Chef Collection lineup includes a 42-inch 4-door flex built-in refrigerator, a 36-inch Pro Range, 36-inch induction cooktop, and a 30-inch microwave combination wall oven, all boasting smart features designed to suit any type of lifestyle, including Wi-Fi-enabled interior cameras and advanced temperature control. Samsung's wide range of products feature multiple color and size options and ensure that the kitchen is designed exactly as the chef desires it. We crafted this collection with sophisticated capabilities for intuitive performance to elevate the modern kitchen experience. Welcome to the future of cooking. To discover more about the Chef Collection and learn more about our rewards program for certified designers, visit Samsung.com.
All right, this is a very, very interesting concept for a podcast. Do you remember when the cartoon Harlem Globetrotters visited Scooby-Doo? This is better than that. What's going to happen is we're going to mash up a bunch of podcasts. My name is Ed Wenk. I'm from the CEDIA podcast. Walt Zerbe is also from the CEDIA podcast.
Hi,
Walt. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Katie McGregor Bennett, what are you doing here? Special guest appearance.
We're podcasting.
We are. Now, tell us all about your podcast and what's going on with you.
Oh, all right. So 2 podcasts, actually.
That's right, I forgot.
Yeah, not one, but 2. So yeah, we've got an AV Trade Talk, which is one that's primarily dedicated to the trade. So we get manufacturers and integrators on quite a bit.
Right.
Then we've got Connecting Tech and Design, which was launched essentially to create a conversation at the intersection of design and technology. And so with that one, we bring in architects and interior designers, manufacturers, integrators, voices from the community, basically within the AV side, but also the adjacent trades, as I like to call it.
All right, and Molly Switzer's here as well, representing a third podcast.
Yes, I am.
What podcast is that?
With KBTalks, yes.
Well put.
She's subbing a little bit.
I might be subbing.
That's okay.
I'm part of Team A,
You'll
I
do
swear.
fine. You do fine. And we have guests as well. We have Joe Whittaker, and the firm is Thoughtful Integration, right?
Correct.
Outstanding. Yep. And Gordon Van Zuyden from Cybermanor. Good to see you again, Gordon.
Good to be part of this.
How's the show going for you?
It's going well. It's
All right.
It's nonstop.
We're going to cover a couple of topics that our podcasts have been covering, and we're going to start with Walt here. And the reason we're starting with Walt is because he literally just gave a presentation to the NKBA. And what was the presentation about?
It was about emerging trends
All right.
and how that might affect their businesses and where things are going.
Okay, what did you cover?
Oh my gosh, I covered everything. I covered biophilia, I covered wellness, 5G, Internet of Things, AI, all the different versions of that, machine learning, power grids, DC power, all kinds of stuff.
Were you getting peppered with any questions that were specific to the kitchen and bath? I mean,
Yeah.
Tell me about some of what they were interested in.
They were very interested in connectivity and how they can get good connectivity in the area.
All right.
A lot of people interested in power.
Really?
So as we were talking about net zero and DC microgrids and all that stuff, they're wondering how their world is going to change with how devices get powered, what they need to plan for to power them. generally just wanted, I think the biophilia wellness and creating spaces that that are more comfortable to live in with using the technology that's like on the trade show floor was very interesting.
Talk about that a little bit more, because I know that, we've covered it on our podcast, but I don't know if it's been really kind of dispersed out into the world yet. So give us the concept, the biophilia wellness concept.
So basically, in the quick Cliff Notes version here is
Right on.
man's never lived inside like we have before. And now that we're inside, we're wired to be outside, okay? So we need to have wind, air, rain, water, all our senses need to be satisfied, and they're not. So it's about bringing that stuff inside. If you have the same color, temperature, or light all day long, it's bad. It just makes you feel nasty. It's about aromas. It's about all that stuff. So it's basically bringing it inside.
Yep. There's also an element of this called, I think it's stochastic stimuli, and that's like seeing a leaf off in the distance or hearing water at random times. And
Yep.
the less artificial it sounds, the more helpful it is for you, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. So you get into immersive audio, and
Right on.
and one of the, we even went through just talking about what color temperature is. Why is there a K? Why is there Kelvin? What the heck does that mean? So a lot of fundamental stuff.
Okay. All right. And was there a lot of interest in that, or were there other things? I know 5G's been a top of mind kind of thing for a lot of people right now.
Probably more interest in the other stuff. 5G was interesting, but they're a little more worried about the dangers of 5G.
Really? Now
Because
there's
I went through that too. I went through pros and cons of a lot of
Right.
technology.
There's been some propaganda though surrounding 5G, some panic propaganda that's been generated on social media about 5G. And had they heard of that? Was that
I
entering
don't
into
think
the
so.
conversation?
The biggest one is the one I brought up, which was taking weather forecasting back to the 80s and interfering with Doppler radar.
Expand on why that happens.
Well, it's the same frequency that Doppler radar uses, and if we get a repeater every square mile, it's going to interfere with Doppler radar. So it's going to, they say, NOAA and NASA say it's going to completely screw up weather forecasting.
If the rest of you guys have any questions for Walt, feel free to dive in, by the way, because he is a font of information.
I have a nerd question about Doppler radar.
Go
because
for
I'm
it.
a golfer.
Yeah?
TrackMan systems use a Doppler radar system as well. Is that going to get interrupted with that?
Wow.
Absolutely. If there's a 5G
Cha-ching.
cell tower, yeah.
Wow. Holy
Sorry,
cow.
did
And I need to
blow
learn more
your
about
mind?
that device
Yeah, you
from
blew
you.
my mind.
I don't even know what that is.
I will.
Just wait. She's going to blow your mind again.
Oh, I'm sure.
Probably not in good ways, but that's okay.
You got anything for him, Katie? You got any questions for the Zerb?
For the Zerbmeister? No, I mean, so what are you hearing from the sort of the reaction? So you're presenting all of this information. Are you getting are we getting a lean in on anything?
That's a really good question, actually.
Yeah, I mean, today's thing was focused about the fundamentals. I know they've heard a lot of words. They've heard AI and the word smart. We went through all that stuff, the way these words are completely misused, and went through really the fundamentals so they could have an understanding of what are all these terms that they are hearing and how might they apply to them. And I went through some of the stuff in the keynote last night where, at least in our business, we need to reevaluate every year and at bare minimum every 3. And that's going to be moving into their world as well.
So I'm really glad to hear that, because it seems like so often, in our industry, we speak our own language and we love acronyms like no other industry, and I just, as a communicator, I always feel like, okay, how much of the audience have we lost just in trying to tell a story, and so to hear that they are leaning in on sort of at least the technical scope and the terminology that we use and what that actually means from an application on their side of the fence. So I'm really glad you guys took time to do that.
Yeah, the only thing I have to add is what they also did really well is they came to this seminar from the show floor.
Yeah.
So they got a curated walk around to see the technology, and they were really jazzed. They saw stuff they thought was absolutely amazing and completely applicable to the businesses. So that was really great.
The one thing you mentioned about questioning about the electrical and what's going to power all these devices and the reliability of the sources. So I think you're seeing actually our industry, which is all about home automation, starting to pivot and look at energy automation.
They
as
were
an adjunct
very
to that.
interested.
And you go to
in
buy the
that.
Sonnen booth as an example, and you see the number of people interested in that part of it, because the batteries are not dumb batteries; they're intelligent batteries, and they're part of our ecosystem of products, and they'll be part of what powers these electronic homes. And it's a lot more than TVs and audio, and so that's part of the ecosystem of solutions, and we're going to play in that. And it's really, I think, an important part of the story that we're starting to tell here.
And the kitchen is a heavy power draw area.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Right. You had also mentioned that you explained to them your take on the difference between smart, connected, AI, machine learning, all that.
Yeah.
Dive into that a little bit because I think that's important for the audience to understand.
Yeah, well, we went through a slide where we showed a smart toothbrush that showed you where you brushed your teeth, and a clear water bottle that was smart because it had an app. We did all that stuff,
Yeah.
and basically said it's just a catch-all marketing term. You really should talk about lifestyle technologies and things that are, make simplicity for the homeowner. But we talked about simplicity is the new luxury, and said that just smart home doesn't. It just means connected.
Right on.
So
All right.
we should ask Molly. Let's pull Molly into this
Yeah,
conversation.
Come on, Molly.
Come on,
Molly,
Molly.
get in here, interior
Come on,
designer.
Molly.
I'm itching to tell.
I know. Well, no, and this is so you came into our sandbox last year on the Design Connection tour. You were part of the tour, as these guys were talking about. So now, as an interior designer, now coming back in your second year, what do you think? I mean, does it feel like things have evolved a bit as far as our community talking more to your community and having that actually make sense?
Yeah, and we've gotten on my local level. We've also gotten our teams more involved. Like I have local integrators that I'm like bringing into like our atmosphere. So we actually just did a big event last weekend. This has been the weekend of craziness, where we actually, it's called Build, and we get 4 organizations. So we have NARI, HBA Pro, NKBA, and then another local one, NWCID. So another interior design community. And we had all 4 of those organizations. This is our 11th year doing it. It's a weekend retreat, and every year we have someone come in and talk about a different topic. And I had my integrator come in, and he spoke about really what the future of technology. So we talked about race point energy. We talked about the USAI lighting. And so those things were like cool to be in the booth and be like, I saw these, I did it. I was like, I totally get it. It's awesome. And because it's broadening the sense of like, hey, we have to start thinking about where our power is coming from and how we're managing that. That's a huge, huge issue. And I'm so excited that it's becoming a conversation, and I'm so excited to like talk about it more, because it is going to affect us. And like, how do we bring that back home as far as like our own personal control? And that's what clients want. They don't realize that they don't have that control yet. So
yeah. It's really it's warming my heart to hear the conversation talking about power so much, because communications, PR, I rep power company, Taurus Power. There you go. There's black, and so it's always been
stuck that right in.
Stuck that right in. No, but I mean, for years we have been talking about power and the importance of managing the power properly for the entire application. And so for what's really interesting for me is to hear Molly coming in, and all of a sudden Molly's talking about tech and power. And this is just a year in the making, and I just want to rewind a little bit because Molly said my integrator. I brought my integrator in to this retreat.
That too.
That's awesome.
Right? So listen, in integrators, there's an interior designer community that wants you to be part of their world. They want you to be their integrator.
They don't think you're the enemy anymore.
No,
All those stereotypes are in the trash.
Well, see, during this conversation, I was enjoying watching Walt's responses, for those who can't see them.
Right.
So as Molly is talking, I'm watching Walt's responses, and it's almost like he is amazed to be hearing these things come out of a designer.
I'm delighted.
Because last year was very macro, and all the ones I'm talking to this year are very micro.
Yes.
They're starting to get granular. That's very good.
Yeah.
We are no longer hearing,
I
why
applaud you.
are you cutting into my countertop budget is no longer a thing that is getting
No, now
uttered.
they're like, can you do inductive charging inside my countertop?
Nice. Love it.
Yeah.
All right, you brought Joe Whitaker and Gordon along for a reason, Katie.
Yeah,
So
well,
it's
because
all you.
Katie never travels alone, and
Right on.
Yep. So I brought my guys. So so Gordon Van Zyden, Cybermanner. So Gordon, you've been on. You've done podcasts with me a bit, and actually you've been, as I've mentioned before, you've really been a great inspiration to me in this space because you are right at that intersection of design and technology, and particularly with your showroom that's coming online. I'd love to just kind of have you talk a little bit about, as an integrator, but your involvement in the interior design community, and the adjacent trades, and really how you are developing your business around that to cater to everyone's needs in that scenario. So just share a little bit of that with us.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on. Maybe just to give a very specific real-world story. We had a very large kitchen and bath company come to us and said, literally, we have more and more clients that in the kitchen and bath space want some of this technology. They've heard about it. They've read about it. We're in Silicon Valley, so a number of people are somewhat familiar with it. and they realize there's intelligent showers, and there's music, and there's motorized window treatments, and floors that heat up, and kitchen appliances that are talking and communicating. And how do we get from the kitchen and bath that we used to think about to the kitchen and bath that we would like to have? And the reality is that in the kitchen and bath space, now they know enough to ask, how do we get those answers? And it really is, it's a coupling of our knowledge with theirs, because by the same token, we have little or no knowledge about the right colors, and the appliances, and the right look, but we can certainly do the infrastructure that's behind it. And so the purpose of building the showroom was several-fold. One is so that we can show the infrastructure behind making those things happen and give them that real-world experience. And B, start the dialogue. And start the dialogue so that when the client lays out the blueprints and there's knowledge to be shared from both of these parties, the client feels they have an integrated approach to the solution. And that really is, at the end of the day, where we are right now, because the products are all there, they're working, the solutions are there. Now it's a matter of how we as professionals work together to create a single face to the client to make these things happen. Because more often than not, it's been our experience that people want it. They just don't know how to get from A to B. And we're part of that process.
Yeah. So you were talking earlier, hopefully it's okay if I mention this. So you were talking to Kohler earlier today, and
Right.
I happened to have the opportunity to sit in with you,
Right.
and you made a really great reference that I don't think I'm going to forget this one for quite a long time, but you were making the reference to them, okay, so you've got the Kohler Connect and everything that's going on there. It gets installed by the plumber, he leaves.
Right.
You guys come in and you own the control system, the subsystems in that project, so when that Connect no longer works, who does the homeowner call? It's not going to be the plumber, it's going to be you, right? So I think the way that you sort of stitch that conversation together, you start to get light bulb moments that though you've got connected kitchen and bath that there would normally traditionally be installed and maintained by another trade, that because of the connectivity now, the AV guy and the AV gal are going to become even more important to that, but it's making sure that the manufacturers understand where that crossover is so that they're not creating channel conflict. And I think that was a really interesting conversation as well. It seems we're definitely converging, but how do the channels maintain their integrity and still allow the different industries to grow? So Molly, I kind of love to have you talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, for us, it's been a big thing. Like I'm trying to find. I mean, I don't want to throw the electrician under the bus. That's not my job. Like there are some amazing electricians. We've all worked with electricians that are not as fun to work with. That's a nice way of putting it, right?
Yes.
And I found through my integrator, I was like, okay, well, how do we find a specialty where we can have this conversation? And we he's like, no, I've been working with this particular electrician for a long time. I met with him, great personality, and the conversation is so easy. And it makes the project so much easier. It is night and day when you have someone that's not consistently like fighting back. Like, I don't understand this. Why are we trying to do this? Why are you making this complicated? You're going, yeah, we get it. We've done this before. This is great. And if I need to learn something new, my integrator is going to tell me, he's going to have that conversation directly with the electrician. They're going to cue me in, and then we're all going to learn from it. And that's so important to me. And that, finding an integrator that's willing to, I'm not learning how to code. That's not my job. Like, I don't want to do that. But I do want to understand, like, what are the repercussions of, like, doing X, Y, and Z, and what's a better way to go one direction or another, and why would we do this in this scenario? So all those things I've learned on the job with them. So that's been huge.
I think,
And calling Joe.
The big challenge I think they're going to face is we've gotten pretty good at connecting a lot of devices in the home. The last 4 or 5 years have been connecting dozens, if not hundreds, of devices in the home. Now we need to connect physical people and trades that support the devices that we've just put in.
Totally.
And connecting people and trades and professions is a challenge. But without that, we only have half the solution.
So my question for you is, what are you hearing from clients and other trades regarding technology and their pain points? Are they lessening? Are they deepening? Are they the same? What's the trend line there?
It's all over the map. Joe can, I'm sure, comment on this too. We're in the early stages of this, and you just need to have people that are proactive, willing to go through these early stages and recognize this is a long-term path, and it's one that requires ongoing support and solutions. You just know the train has left the station, and this level of integration and comfort and personalization is happening. And now you just need a team of people that are part of that will work together to make that happen in the client's interest.
Very good. Joe, did you want to speak to that?
No, he covered it all. I mean, I'm like blown away. I'm like absorbing all this. But yeah, you know, that communal portion of coming in, and now we're trying to connect the dots and connect the people through Molly's process of finding her first integrator.
Yep.
Me and her talked on the phone all the time about that. And then when I was building my Control 4 certified showroom, I was asking her design questions and Tony design questions about what is this? Because now we're starting, even in how we do things and showrooming, we're getting away from that, oh, there's a big wall of 10 TVs like this one right behind us, to, hey, let's make this a living room inside a commercial building. Let's do a wellness room. Let's do a entertainment area. Now we're starting to look at that. Well, guess what? You guys over here, me and Gordon, we don't know how to do that. We need them for that. So it's a two-way street finally, which honestly it's overdue, but I think it had more to do with fear, not ignorance. It was more of the fear of the unknown. But now we're at the point where the unknown doesn't count. We all know devices. We all know things are supposed to look nice, or they're supposed to be pretty and beautiful. And now we know those two have to work together. And that's kind of where we're at now.
That the concept of fear that's a very real one. You know, if you're going to put a shower in and you put a valve in hot and cold water, you're pretty secure in knowing that when somebody goes in that shower, things can turn on and you're going to get the temperature you want. But if you want a voice-enabled shower that goes to the exact temperature that you want when you wake up in the morning, that's a little more involved. And it requires a controller, and it requires power, and it requires a number of other trades and skills to make that happen. Getting there means a lot of things have to be done right, and when they're done wrong, you don't have a warm shower. That's a big problem. No different than when you had a TV set before it was a smart TV. You got channel 4, 5, and 7, but you didn't get Netflix. You don't get Netflix, the internet's down, that's a problem. You always got 4, 5, and 7 off the air. So we just live in a world where the expectations is we expect more feature sets. With it comes complexity, and with it comes having to do it right and having support.
Well, it's a two-way street in growing a business too. Yeah. So I was just on a panel with Tony Septino, designer friend of ours, out of Manhattan, and we're sitting there talking about this. And I go, you know what? There was an architect there as well on the panel, and I said, I think it should work like this. Molly comes to me with the Mona Lisa. She's selling her client a Mona Lisa. But the architect has to put up the wall that the Mona Lisa goes on. And then I have to come in and get the Kelvin light temperatures right to shine on it and get the shades to go down to keep the UV light on it. Yep. And guess what? We all just worked together and she sold the damn Mona Lisa. Like, think about that. It works in all those kind of ways. And now we're finally engaging that as a conversation that's real. And that's the power of the community that we're building.
Molly, when you're walking around the show floor, what is exciting you this year? What are you looking for?
I haven't gotten to see a ton of it, so I'm like
a
little upset. I've only seen like very specific things on our curated tour, so I'm hoping to get out and see a little bit more. But it was exciting, you know, just learning about the Race Point Energy stuff, being able to see it in the booth, being able to see things like that, and seeing, you know, like more than one company kind of doing it, and you know the effects that has. And it's always interesting to me to see kind of like the reactions of my peers too, of like how because I don't, you know, we all learn at different rates and we all accept, you know, change at different rates. So it's interesting to kind of like take the tour, and then a lot of the things that I know about, I can kind of go, hey, you know what else it does that you would really appreciate? This is awesome for this.
Right.
So, I mean, I think the energy thing is really cool. I'm excited to see. I haven't really gotten into the audio stuff, and I want to learn a little bit more about it.
Your Sherpa guy for audio is right there.
Yeah, I can take
Walt
you
Zerbe,
Walt's would be Sherpa guy.
Yeah.
Tech Sherpa guy.
Well, especially
And
audio.
that's your name badge.
Yeah, we're gonna
Perfect.
do that.
There you
Yes.
go.
I mean, I did see someone with a lot of
Rich
tags
Green.
That'd be
on
Rich
the
Green.
bus.
Rich
Okay.
Green.
Was it? Yeah, it was dragging on the ground.
Yeah.
Richard.
Okay. Cool. I was like,
We all
wow.
know.
It's like a scarf.
Ribbon envy.
Yeah.
was like, I don't even have one ribbon.
We'll have to get you a ribbon.
I'll make my own.
And how about you, Katie? You've been on the floor a little bit, I hope, or have you been busy?
No, I haven't much,
early
but it is early and had a bit of a full schedule today. But I will say that one of the booths that I was in this morning that I had the best experience in was the Kohler with Gordon, and this is a redux for me. Which is, Gordon and I walked the KBiz show floor a little bit, and he introduced me to Kohler, and he was the one that walked me in and said, just put aside everything you're thinking and just walk with me. Let me just show you this. And I've told the story before, so I won't bother to go into it. But it literally was just like that facepalm aha moment. When they've got the wall exposed and there's networking gear in there, and it's like, well, this is our space. I get it now. I totally get it. So now to go in, and this has been like 8 months or so, and to see how far that conversation has evolved. It's just there's such a good opportunity here, and I think for like the Gordon and the Joe, you guys are. You kind of connected yourself to the NKBA early, kitchen and bath, and I think you guys are going to be you're already at the front end of something. And I think what the greater integration community is trying to figure out is how much of the kitchen and bath can we really have a footprint in, and how meaningful is that going to be to our business. And at least from some of the feedback I've gotten is that's just a big question mark. And so coming to the show is how real is that. So it's really encouraging to hear Gordon's story and see, he's building an entire showroom around this combined space. And Joe, you work in this all day long and twice on Sunday. So, maybe kind of talk to us a little bit about just sort of that opportunity there.
So are you basically saying that, using a tech term, you're saying that me and Gordon are like NKBA beta testers, right? We might be the alpha. I'm just thinking about that. But okay, so the experience was, it's something I recognized the need for a long time ago, but the opportunity wasn't ready yet. Right. You talk about maturization of two separate associations to actually be able to have a legitimate, intelligent conversation with each other in a building environment. So then all of a sudden this happens last year. I walked away from that. I've made some amazing friends, and I said, okay, now how can this impact my business? So of course I joined the NKBA, and then I realized that, I had been a member of NAHB, and I'd been a member of this, and I'd been a member of that. And then I looked at the model of that, and I said, well, NKBA for a community and association actually has the lowest cost of entry. It's like $150 or something for a year. And then I started looking at the outreach they do. Between now and November, there's 4 NKBA events in my area.
Wow.
4, and I'm going to go to 3. So, their community is very open arms, and they're very, very active. But at the same time, that is also one that actuates financials. Because right now, today, me and Gordon have done over, probably known Gordon for 16 years or so. But we've done a lot of really sweet theaters in our lives and a lot of all that. And we've come to a moment in our industry where theaters are kind of, we've done those. We know how to make some money there. And we've done the master bedroom and the living room and the gym and the blah, 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 blah. But right now, the 2 biggest explosions of technology, it's the kitchen and the bath.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that it's huge, because you have everything from consumable devices to very high-tech devices that feed you, clothe you, clean you. All of those things that we consider, those are life-important necessities. Watching TV in my bed is not. Go ahead.
I was going to say, part of what happens when I come to this show is I sort of see some of the things that we're missing in our industry, or like that have not really connected. Like the whole, I'm a connected appliance. Like, what does that do? I talk to my phone. It's connected to be connected. Like it's
smart water bottle. So I think
so you can tell how much we talk. She just said
I know.
It's connected for the sake of being connected.
So
she just did it.
I think that raises a real good question, because dating myself to some degree, I was part of the smart kitchen movement back in 2000, 2001, when Cisco and the Internet Home Alliance and Whirlpool all talked about the smart kitchen and how that was going to be at play. Those were all just R&D projects waiting to happen. They never happened, but they've known about this space and known about the potential value for almost 2 decades now. So why now? And I think why now, especially in kitchen and bath, is a lot due to voice. Because those are the 2 rooms in a home where you probably don't fiddle around with a keypad or a touch screen, because you're actively doing something with your hands. And so when voice enables an oven to turn on, or a timer, or a shower, something that enables something to happen in a more seamless way, it becomes a more interesting product. So I think that's a big part of really why we're seeing an engagement of technology in those.
Well, and the roles reversed too, because I walked KBiz and IBS with Molly. And, we were talking about different brands because we were talking about the mowing stuff and talking about a bunch of different brands that sometimes do kind of cross-pollinate between the shows. And you took me to the Quickset Baldwin booth, and I was like, this sucks. I was like, their booth here at IBS was so much better and hands-on than the one at Expo. Because then you come to Expo, and you might have a small booth for a lighting control company or one of those over on that side. The cross-pollination is good, but you really have to go see both to appreciate the fact that both sides are watching. It's obvious at this point.
All right. I know Gordon's got to get out of here. We're about out of time. We should probably wrap this thing up, Katie.
Yeah.
Final words, plugs, anything else you want to squeeze in here?
Final words, plugs. I think I'm just going to kind of repeat the same mantra. And the reason that I started doing podcasting, especially with connecting tech and design, is the importance of this conversation and right now. And that's to Gordon and what you said. The time is now. And I hopefully what you're taking away from this conversation is there are 1,000,001 opportunities, and it's not just one of our communities trying to pull from another. It's you've got this opportunity right now where the adjacent trades are all looking for the right partners to make that exceptional experience possible. And when you think about it, that's all any of us are interested in at the end of the day, is how do we make exceptional happen?
Right on.
Yeah. So I think I just feel like right now we're at a really good time of opportunity, and it's really just up to all of us to lean in and make it happen.
Final thoughts from KBTalks, Molly?
I'm excited to be at this show. I think this is awesome. I'm excited that I'm getting the opportunity to meet more and more people that are like-minded and wanting to connect and build this industry stronger. And I think just through those connections, we're absolutely going to be able to touch both CEDIA and KBA and say, this is a true force to be reckoned with, and how do we really grow everything together? I think it's going to give more power to us as a community to be able to talk to our vendors and say, this is how real connection works. We need to make products that truly connect, not just this, can I say half-ass?
Yeah.
Okay, I was this half-ass connection that just doesn't really connect the circle of how everything should work. So.
Awesome. From my end, look for blog posts on the NKBA blog by some knucklehead named Ed Wank. You might be interested in those. Gordon Van Zyden, thank you.
No problem. I really appreciate being here.
Walt Zerbe, awesome as always.
Thank you.
Katie McGregor, Bennett, way to go.
Thank you.
Joe Whitaker, thanks, dude. And Molly, thank you too.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That's a wrap.
The NKBA Specialty Badge Program offers members a new competitive edge. Certification has long been a cornerstone of the National Kitchen and Bath Association's mission, although the designations are mostly limited to designers. The Specialty Badge Program now allows any NKBA member to broaden their knowledge and earn credentials in a variety of areas through online course materials and passing an online exam. Visit nkba.org/badges to discover the NKBA Specialty Badges currently available. Take advantage of the NKBA's ongoing professional development opportunities and get the NKBA competitive edge.